I'd like to call meeting to order. First, I'd like to introduce the planning commission staff. Starting to my right to left, we got George Weber from Madison, Bob Schultz. That's close enough. That's right. Bowling Green, Percy Amana, Madison, Dr. Carol Halton from Fort Roy, and Scott Sutherland from Western Carolina. Staff, we got Craig Pelleton, the planner, and Lisa Zach, assistant administrator. We don't? He may be on the wall. No, I'm talking the flag. Oh, yeah, I don't know where the flag. No, we just walked back there. I used to have one on my. Yeah.
Somebody maybe have Union Bar and didn't bring it back.
No, you bring it. That's all right, no flag. Can we just say about the flag? Skip it. Okay. Never had this done before. Stand. No, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic.
One somewhere.
All right. Can I have approval of the minutes from March the 24th, 2022? Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes. Noted.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the subdivision SB-11-2021 and staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant D.R. Horton is requesting preliminary plat approval to create 160 single-family lots and 103 townhouse lots in South River Section 3 of Ladysmith Village South River Development. South River Section 3 plats have been deferred since the February Planning Commission meeting due to further review by the county attorney, VDOT, and the applicant. The issue being discussed was the acceptance of the roads in South River Section 1 into the VDOT road network. This issue and all other agency comments have been resolved and the preliminary plat may be approved. County staff suggests that the Planning Commission require the final plat to be reviewed by the Planning Commission in order to view the agreements regarding the repair of the roads in South River Section 1.
Discussions, questions for staff?
I think the suggestion that the final plat come back to us for review is a good way to handle this. This way here, we get to see what was finally resolved. So I think that's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Do that have to be in your motion when we say that?
Yes.
Okay.
If you wish me to make a motion, I will do so.
So we're saying this is not the final plat?
No,
No.
final plats usually do not come to the Planning Commission. You guys only see preliminary plats.
Right.
In certain cases, you guys have suggested or conditioned that the final plat come back to the Planning Commission for final approval, but it doesn't happen all the time. In this case, we are suggesting that the final plat come back to you for final approval.
And I think that's a good idea for protection of what is actually being developed.
Can I get a motion?
Which one are we dealing with? Doing SB 11,
Yes.
2021?
Yes.
Okay. I would make a motion that on SB 11, 2021, we send this on to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval and request that the final subdivision plot is submitted back to the planning commissioners.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries and the final plat will be returned to the planning commission.
Thank you.
And also, Mr. Weaver, for clarification, subdivision plats do not go to the Board of Supervisors.
Understood. Sorry.
No.
Next on the agenda is SB-03-2022.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting preliminary and final plat approval for a subdivision of parcel 52-3-1. This subdivision is locate Wendy's on a standalone parcel. Because this property was subdivided previously, creation of this lot constitutes a major subdivision requiring Planning Commission review and approval. The final plat does not return to the Planning Commission for approval unless the Planning Commission requests it. Construction plans for the Wendy's are in technical review. Upon approval of the construction plans and staff review and approval of the final plat, it can be put to record.
Discussion, question for staff?
I think the same suggestion that was made for the previous application should be included in this one, that it comes back.
Mr. Weaver, this is a preliminary and final plat.
Oh, it's final now?
Yep.
Okay. Then I can't do that.
And it's this. Final.
Yes, that is correct.
So this is a final at this time.
Yes,
Totally done.
yeah, it's a preliminary final. So if the Planning Commission were to approve this tonight, then we would start signatures for the final plat for recordation.
I think we should approve this, gentlemen. That's just the way I feel.
Mr. Chairman, if there be no further discussion, I'd like to make a motion, please.
Okay,
Can I ask a couple of quick questions though?
yes.
So Wendy's is going to be on Ladysmith Road. It's near the McDonald's, right?
Yes.
It's in between the Sheets and the McDonald's.
Okay. All right. That's what I was going to ask, near the Sheets too. And that's kind of where we designated that those things should be.
Right.
And okay, I'm good with it.
Mr. Chairman, whereas the preliminary plat submitted appears to meet the requirements of the zoning subdivision ordinance, I recommend that SB 03-2022 Wendy's be approved as submitted.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Yeah, you can go out that way.
Unfinished business, RZ-01-2022.
Thank you,
Yep.
Mr. Chairman. The applicant for RZ 01-2022 has requested deferral of this application in order to work with staff on further review of the water and sewer questions that have been raised for this subdivision. A motion to accept to request the deferral to a future meeting would be an appropriate action. And we would defer to a future meeting as we don't know when that issue will be resolved, not a specific date.
I would like to accept that motion to allow this to be deferred at this time.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Question of staff, the applicant can defer it for how long? 100?
No, once the applicant defers, the clock stops on the time
Okay.
to act. You have 100 days from the initial public hearing to act on a case unless the applicant requests deferral. And so the applicant can request deferral to an unspecified time and then come back.
Infinitely?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the 100 days is just for us.
Yeah, the 100 days is just for you. And so while the water and sewer issues are worked out at the board level, then they're asking to put this on hold until such time as they are able to come back with a project.
Gotcha. I'm moving tonight.
Okay. Open up the public hearing. Can I have a protocol?
With
Okay,
Not reading it tonight.
all right.
We have a captain on.
Microphone.
Okay. TXT -02 -2022 staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff is offering this text amendment to define energy storage facility, energy storage project, and host locality. While an energy storage facility is not a current permitted use in the Caroline County zoning ordinance, the state of Virginia has defined energy storage facility, and staff feels that Caroline should add the definition into our zoning ordinance for such time as the use may be allowed. The text amendment reads as follows. TXT 02-2022. Energy storage facilities means the energy storage equipment and technology within an energy storage project that is capable of absorbing energy, storing such energy for a period of time, and redelivering such energy after it has been stored. For clarity, energy storage facilities are distinct from and not included within major or minor solar energy facilities, or public utility distribution, generation, or transmission facilities as defined in this ordinance, nor are they accessory uses thereto. Energy storage project means the energy storage facilities within the project site. Host locality means any locality within the jurisdictional boundaries of which construction of a commercial solar project or energy storage project is proposed.
So Craig, this is basically, this text amendment is basically related directly to the storage of the solar energy that might be created. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. This is to define that if you were to get approval for a solar energy facility, it does not allow battery storage as an accessory use. Energy storage would be a completely separate use that you would need a separate permit for, even if they're going to be operated on the same site. And energy storage facility is not currently a use in the zoning ordinance.
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. Bennett, why can a storage unit facility not be withdrawn within boundaries of a solar project in operation?
It could be within the boundaries of a solar project in operation, but they would need to get a separate permit for the energy storage. The solar utility scale solar ordinance allows for the generation of electricity to be put back to the grid. It doesn't state that you can store the energy on site to then be put back into the grid.
So they're going to need a separate permit either way.
First, it would need to be added as a use into the zoning ordinance, and then they would need a separate permit to do that.
So in actuality, we're really creating more work for us, the commission, and for the board of supervisors to rezone additional land off-site.
Not necessarily. If energy storage facilities were to become a use in the zoning ordinance, they would need an extra special exception permit. Most likely, it would be by special exception, not by right. But they would need an extra special exception to go along with their special exception for the solar utility scale solar.
We're still talking about additional land acquisition somewhere.
No,
No?
it could go on this on site with the solar.
Okay.
Yeah, it can go on the same site. They just need two permits: a solar permit, so utility scale solar permit, and an energy storage permit, if energy storage becomes allowed.
It's worded right now, they could go off-site to a separate piece of land. Is that correct?
No, at this time, no energy storage is allowed.
But if the definitions are passed as such, as they are contained herein, then they theoretically could go off-site. No?
No.
They have to stay on site.
The definition going into the zoning ordinance does not make it an allowable use. It's just defining it. And so they still cannot do energy storage anywhere in the county unless the Board of Supervisors directs us to add energy storage as a use. And so putting this definition into the zoning ordinance clearly defines what an energy storage project is and says that it can't be an accessory to the solar project, which means,
I understand. that.
yep. And so it's basically defining it to say that it is not allowed right now. It could be
And I
allowed.
guess my point is this, I want to make sure that an energy storage facility is maintained on the solar site if it gets approved further down the line.
Mm.
I don't want them to start spreading it.
Spreading it.
And so when such time comes as it may be added as a use, that would come to the planning commission, and at that time we could write the standards for an energy storage facility. And at that time, it could be a standard that it must be on the same site as the solar facility. So I believe that question would be answered at the time that it becomes a use, should it become a use.
So I've got a question. I almost feel like maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves with this definition. If we haven't defined it as a use in the ordinance, I feel like that may be the better time, once it's defined as a use in the ordinance, to come back with the text amendment to define it. Just my thoughts.
What would happen if, for some reason, I think we have 9 solar projects in the oven now.
8. Yeah.
Hey,
What would happen if, for some reason down the road, none were approved or none were constructed? We could still have, right now, the definitions in there.
Mm.
Would it be easier to add them on once a solar project is approved, or do it now or do it later? I guess that's what
well,
we're doing.
I think staff felt that defining it now and getting it into the ordinance and clearly stating that it is not an accessory or ancillary use to a solar facility was what staff felt was important, so that a solar facility didn't think that it could do energy storage just because they were a solar facility. The Caroline County zoning ordinance states that if something is not defined as a use in the ordinance, then it's not allowed. So if it weren't in the ordinance, it's still not allowed, but we wanted to clearly state that it is not an accessory use to a solar facility.
Since we already have 8 solar applications, maybe we better do this. Is that what staff is suggesting?
That is what staff feels, yes.
Yeah, I mean, since we already have 8, just in case one of those one or more of those passes, we better, yeah,
We're gonna do
maintain
this
some
revision at this time.
control.
I can see where it's 50-50 on either side of the fence. As long as we get to the same destination,
Yes.
that's fine. But like I said, my only concern was that it not be off-site.
offsite.
Yeah,
And-
that is a concern.
Yeah, and that would not necessarily be in the definition. That would be when we go to make it a use and put standards in the zoning ordinance as to how it should qualify. So I think that would be appropriate at that time, should we be directed to create a use definition for it.
I think it's, no question. What if a site is approved for solar? And we have the definitions just added into the zone. Could it then become a by right issue?
Not without us bringing it back to you to have it added to the ordinance as a by right use. If we are directed to add it to the ordinance, staff would promote it as a special exception instead of a by right use. And we had the county attorney look at this definition to make sure that we were accomplishing our goals with what we put on paper.
And this is clear, this, text amendment, it's clear that we're only, the type of energy facility we're talking about here is solar. It's not talking about any other type of,
Yes, correct. And this is the definition we pulled directly from the state definition. The part that is bolded, the second sentence, is what we added into the county definition.
because we do have another energy facility in the county. So it's clear though, the way this is written, we're only talking about solar.
It's to transmission facilities. It may be related to those type of facilities also. But we don't feel that the battery storage is there and ready to be a use yet, technology wise.
Okay, because I don't want it to be misconstrued as something else could be stored. I don't, uranium, spent uranium, We don't have a nuclear power plant, but just saying. Not that we know of.
I would just like to reiterate, I think maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves with this. I'd like to see the ordinance come out where it clearly defines the use. And at that time, maybe we'd have more time to work on the definition. When I read the energy storage facilities, it doesn't explicitly say solar energy storage facility. And I just think maybe we need a little more time on this.
Maybe staff could rewrite this to
Tweak it.
specific solar. Bring it back.
No problem.
Yeah.
You guys will need to defer it if you want us to do that though. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we defer this to staff and tweak it a little bit, make it solar specific.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
For convenience, it's fine.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have any matters for any all at this.
Okay, can I have a motion for adjournment to the next meeting? Please, make it so. Then move the second that we adjourn to the next meeting.
Aye.
Thank you, Greg.